He always told me to stay out of trouble. My name's Jason, and if you looked at my life from the outside, you'd think I had it all. I lived in a decent neighborhood. My grades weren't awful, and most importantly, my dad was a respected police officer. A decorated one, too, to everyone around. He was a symbol of justice and safety. But they didn't see what I saw. At home, he was different. He was cold, strict, always watching me, always testing me. I could never understand why he seemed to expect me to screw up. I thought it was just how dads were, especially ones in law enforcement. I was wrong, so wrong. I was 16 when things started to feel off. Dad had always been intense, but suddenly he was paranoid. He'd come home late, slam the door, and go straight to the basement where he kept all his police gear, his files, everything. That room was off limits. I wasn't even allowed to go near the door. One night, I was watching TV when I heard him yelling on the phone. I paused the show and listened. I don't care if he's just a kid. He looked at me wrong. He's next. I froze. What the hell was that about? Was he talking about a criminal, someone from school? The tone in his voice chilled me. The next day, one of the boys in my grade, Marcus, got arrested. Everyone was shocked. He was quiet, kept to himself, never caused trouble. The rumor was he got caught with stolen phones and a burner in his backpack. I didn't think much of it until a few days later, when Dad came home smiling, like really smiling. It was the first time I'd seen him that happy in ages. Bad kids get what they deserve, he said, while eating dinner, even if they pretend to be good. It felt personal. I kept my head down, but my thoughts were racing. The next week, Dad started acting weird around me. He kept asking me about my friends, who I talked to, where I went after school. I told him the truth. I didn't have many friends, and I usually just walked home and played games. But he didn't seem to believe me. A few nights later, I came home from school and saw something strange. My backpack had been moved. It was half zipped, like someone had gone through it. I confronted Mom about it, but she said she hadn't touched anything. And Dad, he just stared at me, didn't deny it, didn't confirm it, just said, "You should always know what's in your own bag, Jason." I didn't sleep that night. I had this awful crawling feeling that something was seriously wrong. A week passed, then everything fell apart. I was walking to school like always when a black car pulled up beside me. 2 plainclothes officers stepped out. "Jason Miller?" Yeah? You need to come with us." My heart dropped. They took me to the precinct, not the one my dad worked at, a different one, and sat me down. Then they showed me photos of my backpack with a small bag of pills inside. I nearly fainted. "We got an anonymous tip. Locker search confirmed it." I couldn't breathe. I tried to explain that wasn't mine. I had no idea how it got there. I didn't do drugs. I barely even took aspirin. The officers looked skeptical. But then something strange happened. One of them left the room to make a call. When he came back, he looked confused. "You're free to go." Just like that. No charges, no explanation, nothing. They even offered to drive me home. I refused. I walked. I needed air. I needed to think. When I got home, Dad was waiting in the kitchen, drinking coffee, calm as ever. "Rough day?" he asked, smirking. "You did it, didn't you?" I said quietly. "You planted it." He didn't respond, just sipped his coffee. "Why would you do that to your own son?" I shouted. His smile vanished. "Because I need to know, Jason. I need to know who you are before the world decides for me." What did that even mean? He left the room. I stood there shaking. My own father, a cop, tried to frame me. And something told me Marcus wasn't guilty either. After that day, I couldn't look at my dad the same. Every time he smiled, every time he said something about protecting the community, I saw something else: control, manipulation. I started digging. I had to know the truth. I needed to understand why a man who was supposed to protect people was setting up innocent kids. And I was sure now Marcus hadn't done anything, just like me. So I found Marcus on social media. He'd been expelled. His parents pulled him out of town, but I managed to find his cousin, who was still at our school. I messaged him. I think your cousin was framed. Please talk to me. We met after school. His name was Trey. He was nervous at first, but when I told him what happened to me, the planted pills, the anonymous tip, his eyes widened. That's exactly what happened to Marcus, he whispered. One day, someone snitched, and the next, he's in handcuffs. Said it wasn't his, cried for days. I asked him if Marcus had any beef with cops. He shrugged. Not really. But he didn't like your dad. Said he always stared him down when he passed him. It wasn't much, but it was enough, a pattern. I started watching my dad closer, listening, waiting. Then one night I heard something. I was lying in bed when the garage door opened. It was past midnight. I peeked through my window and saw my dad carrying a black duffel bag. He looked around before going to the shed. Not the basement, the shed. That was new. The next morning, I waited until my parents left for work. Then I broke into the shed. Inside, behind a stack of lawn chairs, was the duffel bag. Inside that were 3 phones, a small bag of pills, a knife, a wallet with a school ID. Not mine, not Marcus's, someone else. It was like a starter pack for framing someone. I took photos, every angle, then I zipped it up and left it exactly how I found it. I had proof now, but I had no idea who I could trust. Going to the local police station, that was suicide. He had friends there. He was respected. No one would believe me. So I did something risky. I emailed a reporter. Her name was Jenna Marks. She'd written a few articles about corruption in small towns, cops abusing power, officials covering things up. I sent her everything I had, my story, the photos, what happened to Marcus. And I prayed. She replied 2 days later, I believe you, but I need more. Of course she did. She asked if I could get her something physical, something undeniable. So the next time my parents went out, I didn't just take photos. I took the whole bag, hid it under the floorboards in my room. But the next morning, Dad came into my room. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there looking. Then, you've been snooping. I stayed quiet. My hands were sweating. Did you take anything? I shook my head. He stared at me for a long, long time and then left. That night, I didn't sleep. Every creak in the house made me flinch. I felt like I was living with a stranger. 2 days later, Jenna came to town. She rented a car and met me behind the library. I gave her the bag. She said she'd run tests, try to match fingerprints. That same night, everything exploded. I came home and the front door was open. My stomach twisted. Inside, drawers were open. Stuff was thrown around. Jason! My mom screamed from the kitchen. She was crying, panicked. My dad was storming around, furious. Someone broke into the shed, he said. Took evidence from an active investigation. Liar! It wasn't even logged anywhere. You know anything about this? He growled at me. I looked him in the eyes. No! He studied me. I could tell he didn't believe me, but he couldn't prove anything, not yet. But from that moment, he was watching me every second. He'd drive me to school, pick me up, ask me who I talked to. He was circling me like a shark. Then I got a message from Jenna. What? The school ID belongs to a kid who just got expelled for theft. Same story. Says he didn't do it. That made 3 of us. She was preparing the article. She told me it would go live in 48 hours, but I didn't make it 48 hours. The next morning, I was randomly stopped by a cop on my way to school. He said I fit the description of a suspect in a break-in. They searched my bag and found the knife, the same one from the shed. My blood ran cold. They arrested me. Took me in. I thought it was over. But then a miracle. Jenna showed up with my mom. They had everything: fingerprints, statements from other kids, even photos from before the knife was planted showing it in the bag. They had enough to raise serious doubts. My dad tried to claim I stole the bag to set him up, but the reporter had already published her article. It was everywhere. Social media blew up. An internal investigation started the next day, and slowly, things unraveled. More kids came forward. Anonymous tips traced back to one source, him. My dad is in prison now. It turns out he had this twisted belief that certain kids looked like trouble, and he'd rather ruin their lives before they could prove him right. He thought he was a hero. But all he did was destroy families, including mine. I'm 18 now. I still live with the trauma of what he did, not just to me, but to everyone he targeted. But I tell this story because someone needs to. Because sometimes the people we're supposed to trust the most are the ones we need to protect ourselves from.